we're going to be seeing a lot of workplace reform over the course of our lifetime, and that is hope that I have to hold on to keep pushing forward.
Well, and I think, and I want to talk a little more about hustle culture, but that's a good segue to get to something else I want to ask you about. Senator Bernie Sanders introduced a 32-hour work week bill in the Senate, which makes the 32-hour work week the standard in the United States, and you keep the same pay, which having not read the bill myself, which I don't plan on doing, I'm curious how that would be monitored. I'm curious how if I go to a new job now, I'm not getting less of a salary if this is the law of the land. So there's details I don't have, but 32-hour work week to me, this seems twofold. And actually, it became a discussion with my friends on Saturday when we were celebrating St. Patrick's Day in Chicago, which is a total day weekend of its own. But we were talking about this, and there was actually like good conversation. Like, I'm pro worker. I, like you, came from working class. My dad lost his job in a refrigerator factory when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. My mom had to go from being, taking care of us, me and my two sisters, to work at a toy store. They eventually, the marriage didn't work. You can imagine the pressures of that on different people. But after that, like, there were so many. So my dad ended up, he's an electrician at a hospital, and he's been doing that pretty much since. But like my uncle, who was in manufacturing, like, I've seen him lose 5, 6 jobs over the course of my life. And it's just completely disrupted his life to points where he was maybe going to lose his house and all of these things. And my whole point of sharing all of this is that I think the 32-hour work week isn't that crazy. We have it was the 40s, I think, when we established the 40-hour work week, right?
In the 1920s, it became mainstream. Sorry.
Okay, it was the 20s.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I should have just asked you. Of course, you would know that. So the 32-hour work week, from my view, in concept, and I look at things like this as marketing, right? Like, you need to explain the value. And the way I look at like politicians, like, I just need you to do what I want. I don't need to know how you do it. So we want a 32-hour work week. Go get it done. Legislate it how you need to legislate it. Regulate it how you need to regulate it. But I'm all for it. And I think that in corporate, and what some of my friends were saying, like the corporate space, you're never really off. You're always getting pinged on Teams. You're always getting emails. You're always thinking about it and stuff like that. So their questions were, well, how are we even going to implement something like that? So I'm just curious, like, what are your thoughts on the 32-hour work week? How do you think that would benefit or not benefit and help people who are experiencing burnout, who are overworked? And do you think it's something that could realistically happen in the United States?
Yeah, I'm all for it. Like, 1,000%, I will shout it from the rooftops. I think it'll be difficult to get past. But like you said, it's been like 100 years since the 9 to 5 started, and we've had so much technological innovation since then to recover time. And we're using that recovered time just to work more. And we're long overdue for that kind of workplace reform. So yes, I am here
That's
for
so
it. And the nature
straightforward.
of our work is different. We're not on manufacturing lines to produce automobiles the way that the people who came before us were, right? Like, work is different now. And even the 9 to 5 as it stands, no one is really working 40 hours a week. We're doing a lot of task switching, we're wasting time in meetings, wasting time sending messages and emails for companies that, honestly, in my opinion, there's a lot of companies who have no benefit to society other than to earn people top money, right? That there's an infrastructure that we need where we should be creating jobs, but like, do we really need another mental health app? Or do we need systemic change to improve people's mental health? So yes, we are long overdue for workplace reform. It doesn't just benefit employees. Like, obviously we use our weekends if you work traditional 9 to 5. It's like Saturday is for going out and having fun, and then Sunday is for errands and catching up, and we don't have space to truly like do something for ourselves. So I think
And the
having
Sunday
one extra day,
scaries.
yes,
Sundays reserved for the Sunday
yeah,
scaries.
the dread, the existential dread. So I think having that extra day will really help us showing up feeling more rejuvenated to do better work for the company. And we've already seen companies in the UK and non-US companies do this where it not only makes employees more productive and increases the bottom line, but it reduces healthcare costs for the employer and it reduces employee turnover costs for the employer. So everyone
And
benefits.
90+% of the companies that were in that study are keeping the 4-day work week. I think it's
Exactly.
94%.
Exactly. So the people who are really resistant against it, you have to zoom out and say, like, our purpose existence here isn't just to fill as many of our waking hours with work. Like, how do you want to use those recovered hours to enjoy your life and spend time with your family? And if you are using work to not have to spend time with your family, that's a whole other
I
conversation
actually
that
was
you need
just
to
going to
have.
bring that
You know
up.
what
I
I
was going to
mean?
bring it because there's people, there's people that, and I think we're seeing this also become a issue of the moment is like the return to office. And I feel like the people that are pushing to return to office, it's twofold, right? There's the obvious like commercial real estate issue. I don't think a lot of people think about, but we got a lot of, I'm in Chicago, a lot of commercial real estate that's empty here. But
Mhm.
let's remove that and talk about the people factor of it. And I think there are people that the office is an escape from the life that they're not happy in.
Mhm.
And I think that's an issue that isn't talked about enough. And I
Mhm.
think that it reflects a lot of people. And then I think there's the other purpose of it, which is they want to keep an eye on people. They want that control. They want you in that office so that they can monitor what you're doing, keep you continue to have less freedom, right? To run to the grocery store or take a doctor's appointment or all these things that like would have to be done on evenings or weekends and or take a day off, right? To go to the doctor for an hour. It's like these things are freedoms that make our lives a little bit better when you work remote. Now, I
Mhm.
do get the collaboration, and there's some people that like the collaboration, so I actually support like a hybrid model. But anyway, I feel like there's this element of control to this, and if you give people more time to themselves, they're worried they're going to lose that control that they have.
Yeah, because they're gonna have time to start to ask questions, not why things are operating the way that they are.
That's so true.
Like,
Well,
God forbid people recover the commuting time per day to be able to read a book or explore a new hobby. You know what I mean? It's like, no, if we're not commuting and working our asses off, then we must not care enough about our work. And like, that's the
mm-hmm.
furthest thing from the truth. It's like, no, how do we nurture our souls so we can show up in our lives, which work is a huge part of, feeling good?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is that such
What?
a hard concept for people to grasp?
And I can my personal experience with that is we went remote when everybody else did, and then um I just remember as time went on, like not even months, like weeks, I was like, I'm actually never going to go back to the office full time. And the reason being that commute, so my mornings, and I think other people can relate to this, are stress, like immediate stress the moment you wake up because now you're on the clock, right?
Mm,
And that's not a good way to start your day. Like I have all my stuff snoozed until 8 a.m. because when I get
yep.
up at 6, 6:30, 7, usually it's like 6:37, I need that hour to get my mind right. And I don't
Right.
want to
Ground
be
yourself.
like, right, and take the dog out and drink some coffee and go on a walk. And that is such a benefit to me to be able to start my day that way, as
Mm,
opposed to getting up, rushing to get to the office, worrying about that first meeting, stressing about how long the commute is, if there's traffic, if the train's taking too long, like all of this stuff that is really beyond your control, adding
mhm.
stress to you first thing in the morning. And I
Yeah.
think the amount of years that are going to be saved on people's lives from not having that stress 5 days a week should be
Yeah.
studied because it's a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah. I agree. And I love that you carve out that time for yourself. I do the same for myself in the mornings because we have created this culture where it's easy to become addicted to stress, where people are waking up and immediately reaching for their phones and they see the red bubbles and they allow themselves to be influenced by the things that are happening around them immediately rather than saying like, here's how I want to feel in my day and I need to create space for that to happen. And even if I can find 10 minutes or an hour, like that time is worth it for me to be able to show up in my life the way that I need to in order to feel good.